It's official. The Rogers Centre has sold 55,000 seats for UFC 129 in Toronto. Hi, I'm Callum McGregor. Welcome to another edition of the Canadian Cornerman. I'm here down at the Rogers Centre as part of the UFC press conference to kick off UFC 129 on April 30th. Here's some of the highlights. Check it out.
I don't even think about this right now. I never thought about it. I always live the present moment. And my biggest problem is Jake Shield. And it would be foolish for me to look past Jake Shield. He posed the biggest threat to my title. He's a very well-rounded fighter, and the UFC brought him in, and I'm glad they did, because he's the number one guy for the welterweight title. And as a champion, I'm a proud champion. I want to fight the best guy, and I'm gonna fight Jake Shield, and I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, I said it at the press conference after Saturday's fight. You know, like George said, I said the same thing. Everybody wants to talk about the George St. Pierre Anderson Silva fight. Well, he's got to beat Jake Shields first. And you know, if it happened, the biggest problem would be, where do we do that fight? Where do we hold it? And Anderson Silva didn't sound too excited about Toronto. I've said for years that I don't know about doing stadiums. One of the things about what I think has helped the UFC get as big as it has is the live event experience. And the last guy on earth that wants to ruin that for anybody is me. And I'm actually really excited about this. We put together some, I can guarantee you this, and one thing that I'm always all about the fans. I want the fans I never want the fans to not only turn off their television and say, that sucked. I don't want the fans to walk away who bought tickets to have a bad experience either. And I'm actually pumped for the experience that we're planning for you guys up in here in Toronto. Tom and I were just talking about it out there. We're going to do things in this arena that we've never done in any arena ever before. So instead of people worrying about that the experience isn't going to be the same, it's not. It's going to be better. We're taking it to a whole nother level, and I'm really excited about it. I'm pumped.
I was thinking, yeah, the pound for pound. Yeah, it's hard to say, but you have to look the guy's credential and everything, and it's something that pound for pound. It's really only on paper, but right now I would put Anderson Silva and maybe the guy on my right, Jose Aldo, is probably they consider the two best pound for pound right now in the world.
Callum McGregor, MMA Ontario. I'm just curious, Jake has expressed interest in fighting Anderson Silva potentially in the future. If Jake were to pull off a victory against George St. Pierre, is that something that you would consider?
Well, Jake is definitely, you know, like we said, he's been on this run, and he's fought at 185 pounds too, and been dominant there. But the thing is, the reason this Anderson Silva-George St. Pierre fight makes so much sense is because these two have consistently been fighting in the UFC, and this is more of a legacy super fight. You know, people argue over who's the pound-for-pound best in the world. Is it GSP? Is it Anderson Silva? And both guys will, if he beats Jake Shields, he just beat Vitor. They've cleaned out an entire division over the last several years, and the fight makes sense. It's like the pound-for-pound championship.
And also for George, I recently got a chance to talk to Jake. I asked him regarding your dominant wrestling, what he would do to counteract that. He said he's going to hunt for submission after submission, and you're going to be busy. So what's your comments on that?
Jake is a different guy. He's different than all the guys that I've fought recently, and I think I'm different than all the guys that Jake has fought differently. In a way that Jake has different tools, he's dangerous in a different ways, and I'm dangerous in a different ways. Guy that I've fought Jake Shield before, they only tried to keep the fight standing up. They were too worried about the ground. Jake doesn't know what I'm gonna do to him. I can go with strike, or I can go with a takedown and ground and pound and go for a submission. You know, that's the thing that makes me dangerous, and Jake is very dangerous as well for me, because he's been working very hard on his Muay Thai, so he's gonna try to knock me out standing up, and he's gonna try to submit me on the floor. So he's the kind of guy that he doesn't have only one big weapon. He's very well-rounded, and plus he's a very clever fighter. That's what makes him the most dangerous. He's a clever guy. You have a lot of guys who are dangerous in the sport, but they're not clever. They're not, you know, they go there and they try to rumble, and he's not that kind of guy. You know, he's very clever, so that's why he's very dangerous for me.
We also had a chance to catch up with Sean Pearson and ask him what he thinks about his upcoming bout at UFC 129.
I'm Sean Pearson. I'm in the ring with Canadian cornerman Callum McGregor. I think it's the best thing for me. Again, I'm not a young 23-year-old guy in this game, so to me, I just want to climb this ladder as fast as I can and really challenge myself, and that's what the UFC has enabled me to do right now. Really, we haven't even gone that far yet. Like, I've watched a couple videos of Brian. He throws real hard. But it's funny because when you go into a fight, guys change so much since their last fight because we're all training so much. Like, Brian might come up with a different game plan, and maybe I see his hands up and he's working more of a, he's a waiting game. Right now, he comes out in a hurry and wants to fight, which is much like I do.
Yep.
So I haven't worked too much on game plan yet. Right now, I'm just working on defining my own skills a little bit better, and then we'll start working on game plan a little bit more into the training camp. I think a little bit of both. I'll definitely be able to TriStar again. But me and Claude Patrick and a bunch of guys, we're all making sure we all get together. Hopefully Mark Bochek's involved, all the top Ontario guys, to try and get a little bit more training than we usually do together. We just don't have the infrastructure yet that they have in Montreal. But we've got a lot of great athletes in the Toronto area. It's just we don't all train together. So if we can get that done, I think we got great training camps ready right here in Toronto.
Being new to the media, you don't always get a chance to get the interviews that you always want. You don't always get a chance to get them first, and sometimes you don't get them at all. Luckily, last minute I got a chance to catch up with George Rush St. Pierre. Let's see what he has to say. How you doing, George? Apparently, he's not very talkative. So, going into your fight against Jake Shields, how do you feel you fare? All right, as usual, George is at a loss for words. Until next time, keep your hands up.